when Bennelong was in Sydney, he actually, in London, in 1795, he sang a song, and that was written down by the King's musician, who was a Welshman, a harpist, a Welshman, anyway. These, but this is from Victoria, these bark paintings, or this bark painting. It's in the collection of the Museum of Victoria, and it's from Lake Tyers in Victoria. Is that right? Yep. Yep. Am I keeping the time?
No, you're fine.
How old would that bark painting be?
About 1870. Go back, I think that's 1870, and the reason why it's interesting is that from about 1870 on, people here practically stopped, in the southeast, practically stopped painting on bark. Okay, mainly because they're being pushed off the land, and their rituals aren't taking place. And the rituals are the things that bring people together to talk about their religious stories of creation, religious rules of life. And so that's why that art practice, in a sense, starts to break up. And people start to be converted to Christianity of various denominations, mainly Presbyterian and not Catholic, but etc. About this time, though, you have William Barrack actually recording that early life. And the thing that's interesting in this case is they're all wearing, not mink stoles, they're all wearing possum skin cloaks. Right? And we were taught, you were taught, as I was taught at school, people go out naked, they go out naked, and we thought they must have frozen their butt off. But anyway, just go
Wrong
back.
way.
All right, I'll move on. So, why this idea, stick on the 1870 is this. So you get this, they're writing on paper, because, drawing on paper. People, colonial people that are here start to give Aboriginal people paper and books, sketchbooks to use, and they do. And the next, please. And about this time, you have the first collections of bark paintings here. This is a building it's actually called the Crystal Palace. I don't know why, but it was in the Botanic Gardens here in Sydney, and there was a royal expo put on. Everything was royal in those days, at a royal time. And the interesting thing about the hang is there's largely material culture, like tools, weapons, etc., and up the back is a bit of art. This burnt down, the whole building, even though it was made out of crystal. It's called the Sun or something. And this you were asking about Spencer before? Baldwin Spencer. This is called the Baldwin Spencer Room at the Museum of Victoria. And they recreated this when they redid the museum more recently. And again, we get the most important things down here are this whole armoury of boomerangs. In case Australia went to war, they can really race in and arm everyone. And up the top here, you have a set of paintings. Now, the interesting thing about it is he noted he paid for these paintings with sticks of tobacco, as was the. I can't imagine it myself. I saw sticks of tobacco once, I think, that you bought, and largely it was a chewed tobacco rather than smoked. And he used to pay people with 1 or 2 sticks, etc., for their paintings. Most of these paintings actually came from sheets of bark from houses, from bark houses, right? And they were cut, in many cases, cut afterwards. They buy the sheet of bark and they trim it to go into this type of hang. The interesting thing was he commented that some artists were more astute and more skilled than others, so he used to pay them appropriately. It's just the weird thing is he forgot to write down their names, so he couldn't tell like Jimmy was more skilled than Robert or whatever. But anyway, it would appear from any of the records I've seen that he forgot to put their names down. So he paid more from others. I don't know how they paid their tax afterwards, but anyway. Anyway, if you go back one, just again. And I use this as these two photos as a device to think about how we view art, and about this hang as against the next hang, which is in 1988. I hung this set of work in the Art Gallery of New South Wales, and this is a set of paintings by that artist David Malungi, whose works are just around here, and some of these catfish, etc., are part of this collection. The Art Gallery of New South Wales has about most probably 15 paintings by David Malungi now, mapping out all the sacred sites around his land and that he's related to, and his mother's family are also related to. There's a film made by SBS, I think it is, but you can buy it through the ABC shop, called Malungi. It was made by by Michael Riley before he died, and we actually go to these sites, so you can actually see the sites in the painting. It was originally part of a sea claim, what's called a sea claim, where Aboriginal people were claiming the land down to the low water mark. And the interesting thing Aboriginal people always do is that in the process of this, we found that under law, there wasn't a defined low water mark in Australian law. So in the claim and the hearing of that claim, they come to make a formal legal distinction. What was the low water mark? In the front here, you had some of the first Mimi, what are called Mimi figures, like Girdle from Western Arnhem Land, from Warmaken around there. And up on the left is two drawings, pastel drawings, by the artist Fiona Foley, who'd come to Ramingining and had witnessed a Monday Ella ceremony that goes all night. The final part of that ceremony goes from about 3 o'clock in the afternoon right through until the dawn the next day. And she saw the whole of that ceremony, and she was so inspired by that, she made a whole series of oil noir crayon on paper drawings, and they were two. And Edmund Capon was very in a good mood at that stage, because we'd just done this extension, and etc., and it was 1988, and etc. He loved Aboriginal people, and he actually acquired all of this work. This here is from the 1920s. When I said that this is just south of Ramingining, near where the 10 Canoes film was shot, this was recorded by Wilkinson, who was a British adventurer, is the best way to put it. He was obviously somewhat of a moneyed man and title, and he was sent to Australia to collect specimens, insect specimens, and he came up with a missionary from Millingimby, so he went up by land, and just to the south of Ramingining, on the mainland, he was going to Millingimby Island, they found this camp that they said was abandoned, apparently abandoned. That's all it's part, because everyone saw these idiots coming and bolted for the bush. Due to there was a whole series of cattle wars that had taken place there, so they had good reason to fear people coming up on horses. However, the thing about it is these are very Western Arnhem Land style paintings. So there was a big crossover until into the 20th century, most probably after the Second World War. You actually get these two styles more solidifying. Before that, there was much more of a crossover.